model for me. He's a physician here in town, and
oh really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a pulmonologist, a lung doctor, and out at NEA, and anyway, a huge role model for me. He's got an excellent work ethic, and anyway, he always said, find something you love doing, and go make money doing it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, don't get stuck in something that you hate.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you got to love your job.
Good. So dealing with, now me personally, I've never struggled with depression. I never struggled with anxiety that I know of. And we've talked about this a little bit. It was just been one of those things that I know there are certain things I need to do so that I don't, fall, in that rabbit hole or that loophole.
Right.
What is something that you have seen that will cause people to bring that form of depression or anxiety on themselves?
So that's a good question. And that's one that lots of people ask. They want to know, like, what causes it, or is it something that happened to me long ago, or, whatever that is. And the answer is, I don't know. I mean, the answer is there is a ton of research that indicates that lots of different things contribute to depression or anxiety or any other mental illness for that matter. What I have found just in my personal practice and also in the research that, has been progressing over the years is that lifestyle really makes a huge difference, right? So nutrition, exercise, sleep, all that stuff really contributes to mental health or mental illness, depending. Some of it obviously is biological. Some of it's passed down from parents or grandparents or familial. And then sometimes it is something traumatic that's happened to you in your lifetime. Maybe, I don't know, a bad car accident or witnessing a really traumatic accident or something like that. So it can be a lot of different things that contribute to that. And But I think that lifestyle is a big part of that, and that's usually where I start with people. I ask them a lot about lifestyle questions and where they want to go in life.
Right. Well, and I think about, like, people give me a hard time, so I've always post workout videos on everything that I do, because I think that's a real important part that so many people overlook. Yeah. Like, and you said, those lifestyle choices. How do you think, do you think people understand those choices that they need to make and they just don't do it? What do you think the thing that keep them stuck?
Well, I think in terms of lifestyle choices, I think that a lot of times, you can get stuck and kind of, I don't know, maybe you grew up in a culture where everybody smokes, right? So if you're smoking 2 packs a day, you're going to feel like crap. I mean, you just will, and you're going to have some health problems that go along with it. Or maybe you grew up in, I tell people this all the time, if you drink 24 Dr. Peppers a day, you're going to feel like crap. Mm-hmm. You just will.
Yeah.
And you're going to be sluggish, and you're going to be maybe more anxious. There's a lot of caffeine in drinks like that, and it affects your nervous system in a negative way sometimes. And so all of those things are, I think, cultural. Mm-hmm. Maybe a lack of exercise. One of the first things that we a lot of times will suggest for depression is exercise, even light exercise, because it gets endorphins flowing, and it, kind of has those feel-good chemicals. So a lot of times psychologists will suggest just light exercise for people who are depressed or even just, chronically sad. And again, that's sometimes a struggle depending on where you grew up and how you grew up and things like that.
So you saying a lot about, like, how people grew up. So do you think that has a lot to do with what maybe hold people back?
I think it can. I don't think it has to be, that. That's a good question. And I did say that, sometimes you grow up in a great household and then, you do some things in your adult life that kind of, push you around a little bit. But I think, you focus a lot on self-talk.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So in talking about that, that can kind of drive us, drive our behavior. The deal is that, we all grew up in some kind of culture, right?
Right.
We all grew up in certain things, certain situations that may hold us back, and we can let those hold us back if we want to. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, we are in control of that. And people are in a lot more control of that than they believe they are. And I think that is probably what holds them back the most, is that we're in a lot, we can control a lot of that, but we don't realize that we can control it because we get stuck on our story. You know, we talked about this before. Yeah. We had a little conversation before the camera came on. But, you know, we get stuck on our story, right? It's like, well, this happened to me, and this happened to me, and this happened to me, and this happened to me, so I can't. And that's not always true. Right. You know, we have a lot more control over it than we think that we do.
So that question is what's your self-talk? And do you think so you said we have a lot of control over that. So do you think people, I like to ask that question because it's challenged you to think mentally. And you have a choice. Do you think we choose our thoughts and we choose to act on the thoughts that we're most comfortable with? Is that fair to say?
I think that's probably fair to say. I think we get stuck in kind of a rut of thinking a certain way and behaving based on what we think.
Right.
And when we get stuck in that kind of rut, it's really hard to get out of that sometimes. And sometimes you don't even realize you're in the rut. You're just doing what you know to do. Right. You're just rolling through the day like usual. But even, you know, in therapy and sometimes even, you know, my kids or with myself, I mean, I use a lot of these clinical techniques on myself because a lot of them are based in research findings that are beneficial to people. So you can't ignore that. But in those situations, you know, a lot of times you can change that self-talk, shift your perspective, or change your kind of viewpoint from which you stand, and then it changes the way that you think about things, or changes the way that you see them, or maybe you even decide, here's the way I want to be. Here's the person that I want to be. Like, for me, in my career, I want to make an extraordinary difference for people. Not just a difference. Right. Not just a good difference, but like an extraordinary difference. I love that. Yeah. Like, I want to change people's lives. Yeah. Okay, so if I'm doing that, if that's what I believe in, if that's what my focus is, then, and somebody comes in and I start thinking I can't, my first question to myself should be, is that helping me make an extraordinary difference in people's lives? Well, no. I mean, from my perspective, no. Right. So, what do I need to do to change that? And there are lots of different ways to change it. I mean, you change the way you talk about it. You change the way you think about it. You bring your focus back to that value of extraordinary difference for people.
So I love that. So you want to go in a direction that's going to help you be this type of person, and you make every decision that's going to help you go towards that.
That's right. Now, do you fail? Yeah. I mean, we stumble, we fall, right? The goal is not to beat yourself up because you stumbled and you fall, right? The goal is to find yourself there and bring yourself back to where you're moving in that direction that you care about. Okay, so
I want to use that a little bit and go into social media. As you know, this show is talking about social media. And by the way, if y'all have any questions that y'all do want to ask, this is Catherine. Please make sure you tune in. We have the comments right here in front of us. Val Alone said great topic so far. So thank you, Val.
Sweet.
So let's talk about social media, because I think depending on the generation you grew up in and what you think about internet and everything, people are going to they're either going to welcome social media or they're not.
Right.
And what I've found out is that we're going to continue. Social media is going to continue to grow.
I was about to say, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
Like it or not.
Right. So it's coming. So therefore, we have to put ourselves in a better position to put better, positive information out there, which is what your self-talk. That's what we're doing now. Right. But what do you think is very important for somebody who may struggle with a form of, of that depression or anxiety when it comes to social media and how they use it? Yeah, how did that contribute to that?
Well, I mean, I think so. Social media is a blessing and a curse, right? I mean, it's a great thing because it keeps us connected with people that maybe we don't talk to every day. It maybe even helps us connect with people that we would never ever run across, right? So, in that way, it's a blessing. In some other ways, I think, and I find myself in this situation too. So I'm no judgment.
Right.
But what we end up doing is we put ourselves on social media in this great light. Like, here are all the awesome, wonderful things that are happening to us, and we're suffering by ourselves. Because everybody's suffering. Everybody has their thing that they struggle with. Everybody has their challenge that they have to overcome. Everybody's got that. So what we're putting out on social media is like, this face that like is beautiful and glamorous and, nice car and
sure.
Name it, whatever it is. But then we're suffering silently. So what we're doing is we're perpetuating this problem of everybody has to suffer by themselves and alone, which is a really big problem, especially because it's a lie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we're lying. We're not doing that intentionally. I don't mean that.
Right.
It's not true that everybody doesn't suffer. It is, everybody has their challenge, I mean, you said, I've never really struggled with depression or anxiety, right? But you have challenges.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And just like me, right? Yeah, we all have that. So I think social media presents a problem in that it allows us to, I heard somebody say today, it was David that said today, you compare your insides with what you see everybody else is on the outside. And that makes a lot of sense to me. You're comparing who you are as a person to what you're seeing everybody else accomplish, so to speak. And that comparison a lot of times can make people really sad, chronically sad. And especially if you're looking at Facebook all day, every day, or checking it frequently multiple times throughout the day, it creates that sort of toxicity level in you.
Well, and I think it was Simon Sinek, and he talked about how, when we post something and we see somebody that likes what we said, we got a release of endorphin inside of us.
That's right.
And we now are craving someone to simply say, like me.
Yes.
And we don't know how to do that like this.
Right.
So the only way we know how to do it is through social media. And I think, me personally, is that it's going to come a time where so many people will connect more on social media, where they need to figure out a way how to not feel alone.
That's right.
And so I'm reminded. So yesterday, I knew you was going to be on the show today, and I was just thinking about like what do people feel so stuck with? Like, why they feel like they can't get over that hump? And like for me, I always want to be that guy to encourage somebody to move forward past where they are. Forget all the stuff that has happened and keep moving in a direction. So I went live and I was just started saying, if you struggle with depression and anxiety, all that other stuff, listen in. And you won't believe, like, between, like, I put it down and I was cutting the grass in between time. I was listening to something. It's got me fired up. It's got me fired up. So I had to stop and had to do it now. And that's one of the things, right? What's your self-talk? Identify it and go and take action. And so I did it. And then so I looked back. Before we got on here, it was over 300 people who watched that.
Wow.
6 people who shared it.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to help one person.
Yes.
And yes, I did do that, and I got a lot of comments, but it goes to show when you, the main thing that I was saying to everybody, like, you're not alone.
Exactly.
You're not alone. And that's what you just said.
Yeah, I think that's a big, it's kind of a key point, especially, you mentioned Simon Sinek, and if y'all haven't seen that, there's
absolutely.
a YouTube video. He's got tons of them, but he gives a really good one on neurochemicals and how those are contribute to our kind of growing addiction to social media. But he also talks about how this generation, and not my generation, but my kids' generation, is the most depressed, suicidal generation ever that we've ever seen. And the reason is because they don't have a lot of social interaction, or they don't know how to negotiate that social. I can't say it as eloquently as he did, but they don't have that experience because it's not created in their social networks. I mean, I don't know. I have a 15-year-old, and if you've ever been to a 15-year-old party, they sit around and look at their phones and they comment a little bit on people's posts, but mostly they're looking at their phones.
Yeah.
Or playing video games.
Well, yeah. So,
but you're right. That creates this feeling of being alone, and suffering by yourself and suffering silently, and it's more pervasive than it probably ever was.
Wow. And I mean, and this is exactly why I come every Tuesday and I just post stuff. And maybe it's not for certain people. It's for the person who, like, I had one, whoever needs it. But I had one young lady who was like, "Thank you, you know, for just saying what you said, and thank you." And I was like, that's the only person I needed to see it. I mean, if it was a bonus that everybody else did, and I'm not excluding anybody else, but we need to just continue to use social media. Understand the bad that it may bring out of, I won't say bring out of people, but how they hide themselves, as you was just saying. Yeah. People tend to hide themselves, put these filters on like everything's perfect, but we need to understand deep down they are really saying, I need help. I need somebody to connect with. I need a friend.
So you mentioned like having a more positive presence on social media. I think that's a great idea. And I think that we need to promote that message of you're not alone. Everybody has their challenges, you know. And the more real you can be on social media, I always think the less you hide, the less you struggle. Right?
Yes.
Well, and if you're putting on any kind of fakeness at all, and you have to check that with yourself. I mean, I have to check it with myself. But if you're putting on any kind of fakeness at all, a lot of times you will struggle with that.
Right. You'd be exposed. You know?
That's right. Yes, that's true.
Yeah. All right. So thinking about, you know, your practice and, you know, you talk about depression and anxiety with some of your clients and even kind of social media, what me and you have opportunity to really do something that's going to help connect people, kind of one-on-one like we're doing now, but to really draw out more inside of them. And one of the ways that me and Catherine actually met was through the company that we represent, which is Transcend. And their mission statement is to be able to reveal the limitless pathways within us. And that's just, it's beautiful within itself, and I'll have opportunity to expand on that more. But with her being who she is and practicing the practice that she practiced, I want you to just give me a brief overview of how you understood what Transcend was in the beginning, then going through a class, and just for kind of information. It's a 2.5-day course, but then we're actually creating a 1-day course that's going to be 3 hours. More information is coming later, but what did you feel was big for you when you went to Transcend?
So the class for us, we actually did the class together, which was great. Yes. It was a very unique group of, there were 6 of us. Yes. Small group. The class for me, I mean, I kind of came in upset. I was not very happy, but what I'll say is, the reason that is so is because it pulls you completely out of your comfort zone and creates a lot of discomfort. I mean, and at first there are some natural and habitual, for me, emotions that go along with that. So I don't like being pulled out of my comfort zone. It's not very fun or pleasant. But there's, you know, you got to remember what you're working for. Right. You know, if you're working for something bigger, then it's worth that discomfort. And so, and that's kind of what we did. So pulls you out of your comfort zone, and within that space, and I don't even know, you know, it's kind of like me describing to you how it feels to be pregnant. It's just never going to really be understood. So you have to go through the class. If you're interested in going through the class, it's 2.5 days, and it's an amazing experience, a life-changing experience, I would say. But within that space of being pulled out of your comfort zone, you start to realize these things that are constantly holding you back, or that may have been holding you back even before. Some of those I knew before that because for lots of different reasons, but graduate school was a huge eye-opener for me. It was a life-changing event for me, a series of events, but definitely life-changing. And this was kind of a reminder on steroids of that, right? And it brings out all these things that you find within yourself that are obstacles, and then allows you to kind of break through those obstacles and decide what your mission's going to be, what kind of life you want to live, the kind of person you want to be, So definitely a life changer for me. I mean,
Right.
I think it was for everybody that went through it.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I'll just give kind of my glimpse. What it helped me understand is now what, if you have followed me for long enough, you see I'm now getting to this point where I don't care all the stuff I went through. But when I went through it, it made me realize, like, I went through some bad times in my life. I went through some struggling times where I wasn't happy with who I was, but okay,
right.
What's next?
That's right.
And it's like when you start looking at it, like, okay, it's more to life than your struggles.
That's right.
And you said to push you out your comfort zone. I think for me, I've always naturally have pushed myself out of it. But don't get me wrong, when you get to that level, okay, now you need to start admitting that you failed and you did. This was an event that you failed at, but you're not a failure as an individual.
That's right.
And you need to move past that, and then also be willing to go back and help others understand, like, you went through that for a reason.
Yeah.
And you went through that so that you can continue to move forward in this direction of this guy that you definitely want to be.
Right.
And understand that when you start telling people where you went from to now where you are, then you're going to start letting others see that, you can do the exact same thing.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's the beauty of it, is that when you go through something difficult, you have the ability to sit with someone else and say, I've been there.
Yeah, that's it.
I've been there. I've done that. I know exactly what you're feeling. Here's how I felt. Is that how you? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're not alone. Back to that.
Oh man, and I love Transcend because we work hard at making sure that everyone is going to be uncomfortable, which is needed, but it's a safe uncomfortable.
That's right.
It's in an environment where you are completely honest with yourself and you draw out whatever you need to draw out.
That's right. You make it whatever you want it to be.
Exactly. That's what your self-talk. So, that's awesome. So, that was good. That was good. I'm just trying to recap it real quick. So, just anything else that you think that would be helpful for anybody else that you don't think we covered? Because we covered a lot and it was great. But just anything that you think we should cover when it comes to maybe sitting down with clients, or just people personal self-talk, right, or even Transcend, or just anything on top of your head.
Well, one thing that I did want to say, and I was going to kind of filter it in somewhere, but it didn't get done. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Is I alluded to it earlier, but I think we all, like I said, get stuck in our kind of rut. Mm-hmm. And we think that, like you said, you get stuck on your story.
Yeah.
And you can really make that a negative drain on your life, and if you want to. But the truth of the matter is it's really a choice. Like you all and us, each of us, have the power to change what's inside so that you can push forward. You can do it. You can do it. It takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of effort, and it's an immense amount of focus. And I mean, I get off every day, and I have to bring myself back all the time. But I think the biggest part of, we're talking about mental health, we're talking about social media, sure, but also just pursuing the kind of person that you want to be. The biggest thing is it is really in your hands. It's way more in your hands than you realize,
Yeah.
It's in your hands, and a lot of people don't even know it,
Oh, that's good. So, and just to touch on that, and then if you have any questions, please ask, but we'll end it from here. So, do you think it's more important for someone to strive to be a certain individual than to worry about all these certain accolades and awards, monetary and statuses, fame? When you look at people who are looking to get this certain amount of money, or you're looking for people who want this certain type of fame, when you're looking at all these things, do you think those are important, or it's just strive to be in, type of that best version of you?
Well, you know my answer.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of research to suggest that money doesn't motivate people very much. And the reason is because nobody cares about the dollar bill necessarily. Right. They care about the experiences that the money will buy them. Right. But when you're striving for a certain amount of money, or when you're striving for a Louis Vuitton purse or a new Cadillac or, whatever the case may be, the motivation to sustain that falls short oftentimes. Now, I'm not going to speak for anybody. You said, is it better to do this or that?
Sure.
You have to decide that for yourself.
Okay.
But I would say, look at your life and determine, is that fulfilling you? Is that really what, at the end of the day, makes you go, man, this is a great day to be alive?
Yeah.
Man, this is awesome. Is it carrying the Louis Vuitton purse, or is it making sure you're there for your kids? Is it, driving that new Cadillac, or is it, having a close relationship with God, if that's who you choose, to worship? Whatever the value system that you carry, whatever that is, my goal is usually to take a step forward toward that, and I think that a lot of people tend to struggle when they're not living those out on a daily basis, and that's what I see usually. So there's my answer.
There's your answer. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this
Absolutely.
is great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So we'll have to continue to see what feedback we'll get and maybe bring some questions to you again.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Put anything in the comments that maybe you want answered or anything like that.
Yes. And so if you're in Jonesboro or you just want to ask maybe a typical question, you're welcome to go to my page and just send a message. But also, if you are in Jonesboro or you're just in Arkansas or wherever you're at, it really doesn't matter. You're not alone. So how can people reach you?
Yeah. So I have a Facebook page. I think he linked it on this. So you can always private message me there, or, you can call. Phone number is 870-224-4880. Or you can email me at Catherine Adams, CATHERINEADAMS, 2 @gmail.com. So
make sure you get the number 2.
Sorry.
Number 2.
Yeah,
no.
I have to
We'll put that. I'll make sure that's in the notes. But thank you for watching. As you know, the goal is to continue to ask yourself that really important question: what's your self-talk? And understanding that if you choose to have a fixed mindset, you'll get those results. But if you choose to have a growth mindset, you will get those results. Either way, it's a choice that you have to make. And when you make that choice, you have to realize that you're going to either strive your life at living it out. And that is the goal. Live your life where you look back and you say, wow, what a life. Yeah. So until next time, that important question: what's your self-talk?